Hello and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter and winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires, and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On this show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping to fight the menace. Let's talk about Arkhangelsk. This is the fourth-generation nuclear attack submarine. It is one of Russia's most lethal subs, and now it has been deployed in the Arctic, the northernmost region of the Earth. But Moscow is hardly alone here. Nation after nation, your NATO members, the US, China, they are all militarizing the Arctic at a rapid pace because this white wonderland is melting. Its ice is depleting rapidly thanks to climate change, and this is heating the planet even faster. But when most world leaders look at the thawing Arctic ice, they see the seemingly infinite economic and political influence. So while nations are tussling to win the Arctic race, there is only one loser in this game, the Arctic. Our next report tells you why.
Which region poses the biggest foreign policy challenges? If we were to ask you this question today, you may say China, Russia, or Israel. But soon, your answer will most likely be the Arctic. The northernmost region of the Earth. It covers a vast area of about 16 million square kilometers. It's home to polar bears, seals, and walruses, but increasingly, it's also becoming home to intense militarization. Over the past year, members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, have held war games in the Arctic. This included amphibious assaults in frigid areas. This was followed by a Russian drill, where nuclear submarines practiced firing cruise missiles near the NATO members Finland, Norway, and Sweden. And now, not even a month into the new year, Russia has permanently deployed Arkhangelsk with its northern fleet in the region. And this is a major step towards militarization by the country. Because you see, Arkhangelsk is one of Moscow's most powerful submarines. It's a fourth-generation nuclear-powered attack sub. It carries an array of seaborne weapons. This gives it the capability to strike both sea and land-based targets. And the submarine's deployment is another sign of the turbocharged weaponization of the Arctic, which is concerning news. You already know that the world is heating thanks to climate change. But did you know that the Arctic is warming nearly 4 times as fast as the rest of the planet? Its sea ice is declining by more than 12% every decade. That's about 80,000 square kilometers of ice. Roughly the same size as Austria or the Czech Republic. That's how much ice the Arctic is losing every decade. In fact, according to recent reports, the Arctic will have its first ice-free day in the year 2027. This is unprecedented. So, this white wonderland is turning blue, and it's fueling a vicious cycle. Let us explain. Ice reflects sunlight into space. It acts as a great heat shield for the Earth. But 90% of the old Arctic ice is gone, and the new ice is depleting rapidly. So now there is more ocean which doesn't reflect sunlight. Instead, it absorbs the heat. This has created a spiral of heating. A melting Arctic is making the region's ice melt even faster. And this is speeding up global warming for the entire world. This means worse climate disasters, habitats vanishing faster, and an ecosystem rendered even more fragile. But we know that when world leaders look at the melting Arctic, they rarely see this myriad of climate problems. Instead, they see new shipping routes opening up, new opportunities to militarize the region, rare minerals that can be mined, and seemingly infinite economic potential. Now, this tussle for the Arctic is brewing geopolitical tensions. The likes of Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden are holding drills there. Russia and China are flying bombers there. The US and Canada are buying more icebreakers to police the region. Basically, nations are jockeying for political influence in the Arctic and knowingly intensifying the perils of climate change. They are polluting the region, emitting greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane, which is 84 times stronger than carbon dioxide, thawing the permafrost, unleashing the dangers of unknown bacteria and viruses. All because when politicians look at the Arctic, they see hidden treasures, more power, more influence, more money, and not a calamity waiting to happen at the top of the world.
Bangkok's air pollution has reached the kind of level where even your morning coffee feels like it needs a gas mask. But fear not, Thailand has come up with a rather cool solution. Instead of, say, cracking down on emissions or curbing crop burning, officials are sending aircraft into the skies to dump dry ice over the smog in hopes that it will quite literally chill out. It's an ambitious, slightly sci-fi sounding experiment. But will Bangkok's toxic haze actually take the hint and disperse? Or is this just another case of throwing ice cubes at a wildfire? Here's our report.
Bangkok has long been known for its vibrant street food, buzzing nightlife, and unfortunately, its thick lung-clogging smog. But now Thailand has taken a rather unconventional approach to tackle its air pollution problem. It is by dumping dry ice from the sky. Yes, you heard that right. Instead of sticking to conventional methods like reducing emissions or limiting crop burning, authorities have decided to take to the skies, armed with aircraft, large containers of icy water, and a whole lot of hope. The idea? Spray cold water or dry ice over Bangkok's atmospheric blanket of pollution, cool it down, and let the trapped smog float away like a bad memory. It is an ambitious, albeit unproven experiment, but when the air quality index starts looking more like a toxic waste reading, desperate times call for desperate measures. On paper, theory behind this airborne ice bath seems almost poetic. By reducing the temperature difference between atmospheric layers, the stubborn PM 2.5 particles should in theory rise and disperse. But as critics point out, that's a big should. The Royal Rainmaking Department, which usually focus on coaxing rain from reluctant clouds, has repurposed its planes for this experimental smog-busting mission. Twice a day, aircraft take off from various bases across the country, loaded up to a ton of ice and water, and let it ripe over the skies of Bangkok city. Scientists on board track the aircraft's path with an iPad, while the crew members dutifully spray ice water from blow containers, watching it disappear into the haze below. Whether this actually clears the air or just adds a touch of theatrical flair to the pollution crisis, it remains to be seen. Cloud seeding has been around for decades. China, the UAE, and even the US have used it to make rain, reduce smog, and sometimes just put on a good show. But even the best rain-making efforts are a hit or miss, with studies showing only marginal success. Thailand's air pollution peaks between December and April. This is when dry weather and unfavorable winds keep the smog trapped over the city like a stubborn fog of doom. Since cloud seeding requires actual clouds to work, this new cloud blasting technique was devised as an alternative. To measure its success, another aircraft flies behind the spray mission. It records pollutant levels before and after the operation. So far, officials claim there's visible improvement, though no one is saying this will magically make the pollution disappear. Still, the effort isn't cheap. Each flight costs up to $1,500, and with multiple flights taking off from 3 different bases, the daily bill can hit $9,000. That's a lot of money for a technique that many scientists remain skeptical about. As if the irony wasn't thick enough, some of the biggest contributors to Thailand's pollution problem, fossil fuel companies, have stepped up to provide the dry ice. Thailand's oil and gas giant PTT, along with Bangkok Industrial Gas, have been more than happy to supply the solid carbon dioxide needed for the operation. In a statement, one executive described their donation as part of their commitment to creating a sustainable future, conveniently sidestepping the fact that their industries are a major reason Bangkok is choking in the first place. While Bangkok's sky ice experiment makes for great headlines, experts argue that the real solution lies in tackling pollution at its source. That means cutting vehicle emissions, enforcing stricter air quality regulations, and putting an end to mass crop burning. Because at the end of the day, you can't just air condition a city out of a smog crisis.
In Nepal's bustling city of Pokhara, a unique solution is emerging to tackle the growing problem of plastic waste. Amidst the speeding cars, you might not notice, beneath the smooth asphalt lies a hidden ingredient: discarded plastic. Nepal, like many developing nations, faces a growing plastic waste problem. However, a group of young Nepali entrepreneurs have decided to not only use plastic to build stronger roads, but to also tackle the issue of mounting plastic debris in a unique way. Our next report brings you more.
Beneath the surface of this ordinary street in Nepal's Pokhara lies an extraordinary approach to road construction and plastic waste management. It's a road paved not just with traditional materials, but with plastic. Nepal, like many countries, grapples with the sheer volume of plastic waste. According to a report by the World Bank, Nepal's urban areas generate about 5,000 tons of solid waste per day. 13% of this trash is plastic waste, which is dumped in landfills. While recycling efforts focus on high-value plastics like bottles, low-value plastics, such as multi-layered packaging, often end up in landfills. Dealing with low-value plastics is a cumbersome task, as they don't fit in a single recycling category. But a group of young Nepali entrepreneurs has found a novel way to put this waste to good use. They are transforming these discarded plastics into a key component for road construction. This initiative is being led by the Green Road Waste Management Organization, and it was founded by Bimal Bastola. Discarded plastic is first taken to the trash sorting center. The divided plastic is then shredded into fine pieces in traditional road construction. Bitumen is a binding mineral which is mixed directly with hot aggregates before paving a road. However, in the plastic road method, the process is a bit different. In this method, the aggregates are first coated with shredded plastic before adding bitumen. This method not only reduces the need for fresh raw materials, it also lowers the cost of road construction, prevents water infiltration, and increases the lifespan of the road. Studies show that roads paved with plastic waste can be twice as durable as normal roads. Since the early 2000s, Nepal's neighbour India has been leading the world in building a network of plastic roads. In the year 2015, India even made the use of plastic waste mandatory in roads near large cities. This innovative approach is gaining traction. A growing number of other countries are experimenting with the plastic road approach, which also includes Bhutan and Bangladesh. By incorporating shredded plastic into the traditional road mixture, these young entrepreneurs are creating roads that are not only stronger and more durable, but also help alleviate the environmental burden of plastic waste. According to a report by OECD, globally, only 9% of plastic waste is recycled, while 19% is incinerated, and nearly half of it ends up in controlled landfills. Future projections are even more alarming. By the year 2060, unchecked production of synthetic polymers is expected to reach about 1.2 billion metric tons. Synthetic polymers are the building blocks of plastics. The unbridled accumulation of plastic in the environment is clearly a recipe for disaster. This plastic trash is non-biodegradable, takes hundreds of years to decompose, and breaks down into tiny microscopic particles. Nepal has already banned single-use plastic bags thinner than 40 microns. However, this ban has not been strictly implemented yet. As far as the viability of using plastic in road construction is concerned, the data is limited. As per the World Bank, the environmental impacts of recycled plastics used in road construction is still not clear. While challenges remain, such as ensuring quality control and conducting further research on potential environmental impacts, this initiative offers a promising path towards a more sustainable future for Nepal. As this technology continues to evolve, it highlights the potential for turning waste into valuable resources and paving the way for a cleaner and more resilient infrastructure. Experts believe that the plastic road construction method is solving two problems at once. First is the need to build stronger roads, and second is better management of plastic waste. It will be interesting to see how plastic, which is often considered the damager, can be turned from a foe to a friend to protect our planet.
And that's it on Planet Pulse for today. We will see you again next week at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.